Welcome back, Overwatch League fans. My name is George, joined by Hex once again. And Hex, this is week number 1 of the qualifications for the summer tournament. I'm excited to get into it. We have Philly versus Outlaws to start the day.
Summer Showdown, as it were, just like how popular our Melee was. I'm glad I don't have to say that anymore. Summer Showdown really rolls off the tongue much easier. We're giving out some cash. We're giving out games. There's a lot on the line here. I love this format. I think everybody who tunes in loves this format too. But like I said, Jaws, why don't you just break down the structure of who gets what in this tournament format?
Yeah, you get some nice quiche if you could become first place, and a couple extra points as well added to your score going later on in the season. A cool 50,000 for first place, 25,000 for second, and 10 for third and fourth. And then each tournament win, each team gets 5k, so not too bad at all. A nice healthy chunk of prize money, plus, like I said before, extra points later on.
Yeah, and those extra points can be really important for a team like Houston that's been floundering, well, for quite a while, for seasons. You know, it's been a bit. But, you know, if you win the entire tournament, you get 3 extra wins put on your score, which is no small feat. Second gets 2, third place gets 1. So if you're a team that really needs to start making a big move up the standings, like a Houston Outlaws, winning a tournament, even taking second, would be huge, because it's not free real estate. It's just free wins, and it's free real estate in the standings overall, I suppose.
Yeah, I guess it is. Yep, nice. Working the memes in already. I like it.
I'm trying. Doing my best.
Fusion versus Outlaws is going to be the match up today. And like you said, Hex, Houston, they ain't doing so hot, realistically. But Philly, a little bit disappointed, I can imagine. I think some of the fans maybe a little bit as well. Philly are just so used to winning everything. Coming out of the Mayhem melee, not taking the dub. You know, they're going to have to take that one in their stride, but I'm sure they're coming back fighting this week.
Yeah, and it's kind of confusing that Philly didn't win the previous tournament, but there's some really good teams in this region who, you know, you got the Shocks, but you had a surging Florida team that has just looked almost unbeatable lately. But this Philadelphia, I mean, their team fight stats are just insanity. They rank first in win rate, first in elimination rate, first in elim win rate. So that's when you get the first elim, how often you win. 86% is a bonker stat. And it's actually kind of cool that they win 25% of their fights where they die first. And that's because you got guys like Carpe, who's like, oh, we lost 1, I'll just take out 3, now we're still ahead.
Yeah, that's the power of Widow, right? Or the power of someone like Ashe with a Mercy pocket. It's like, bang, bang, you're dead. It's super easy to kind of take over a game, because when you go down, when you get a pig on a team, you're like, okay, cool, 5v6, rush forward. Oh, Carpe's there, and he killed our backline. Yeah. Well, Carpe and Ivy will be starting today. Unfortunately, we're not going to see our boy Chips in on the lineup, but we've got Sato, Fury, and CEO Alarm and COO Mr. Funny Astro on the support lineup.
Yeah, and look, you just never take Carpe out, in my opinion. I think he missed 1 map last tournament we were in, and then they just put him back in, like, oh, what were we doing there? Actually, interesting that Fury's going to be playing. You know, Poco's seen a lot of play time for this Philadelphia team. But, I mean, on the Houston side of things, given the games that we've seen so far, it's a little bit surprising who they're going to run on DPS, because I thought this would be a perfect time to run out Finland's gift to Esports and Linkser, being, you know, the Widow and the Ashe player. But instead, it's going to be Blase and Dante. Of course, Dante's been the best player on this team, the most consistent player on this team for a while. I'd imagine a lot of Tracer out of him today, as Sombra is out of the hero pool. Hydration is going to play the main tank role. Mecha will be his partner in crime, and a support line consisting of Raucus and Jexe.
Yeah, I'm in agreement with you there. I did think Linkser would be playing, but we could see some Blase Doomfist, because Sombra is out of the pool, and same with Echo, right? 2 of the biggest Doomfist counters. The hack just deleting literally anybody, but even more dangerous for someone like a Doomfist, and Echo being soaring out of the way of Doomfist's range of almost every single one of his abilities. So I can imagine maybe we see a little bit of something like Blase on Doomfist. Try and shut down Carpe. We'll have to wait and see. Here are the maps on your screen right now. We have Lijiang Tower. We have Hollywood, Voskhaya, and Gibraltar. And if we need to, we're going to go jump on to Busan for our decider control map.
Yeah, and we've seen a lot of Hammond run lately, and that's because also, you know, Diva's out of the hero pool, Brigida out of the hero pool. So Brigida is the Tracer Eraser, also enables Tracer, but we've seen Tracer run a lot of the times. But without hacks and without the shield bash to stop the Hammond from doing whatever he wants, you're kind of relying on Mei, and a Hammond can kind of still roll away or just avoid the Mei, or if you take the Mei out, you're fine. But we've seen a lot of diversity as far as the damage players that come in. We've seen A lot of Ashe. We've seen some Mei. There's been some Reaper. A lot of Pharah. It's been really fun to watch, even with this hero pool in place this time. But, I mean, I think a lot of tank lines are having to adjust because a lot of tank lines are just like, okay, well, let's run this, and then, well, just slot D.Va in. D.Va's good at everything.
D.Va is pretty good at everything. D.Va's always been really good at almost everything, right? It's, especially with a thruster buff as well, so you can just like fly around the map almost like you're a bigger version of Pharah. It's pretty scary. You can help with the backline almost instantly with the defense matrix. D.Va's definitely here to stay forever, it seems, unless something drastically gets changed to her. But no D.Va in the pool, however, today. So it does look like Outlaws are going to be starting out with double shield. Fusion doing the same thing. Not too much of a surprise. We are in control center after all. Come on,
yeah, get the double shield. I just want to see what the secondary DPS is going to be. And as you predicted, Blase is going to be on this Doomfist. A Doomfist Reaper that is so much damage, so much pick potential early.
Got to be careful though. If you're Dante, that's an easy kill for Alarm. Dante was slowed up. I'm not entirely sure where his Wraith Walk went there. Maybe used it a little bit earlier on. You can hear the Doomfist charging up a punch, uppercut, and then Seismic slamming his way out. That is going to be basically Blase's maneuver here, is just throw himself in and out over and over again, hoping to find a pick. Pointer does unlock. Blase comes in and out yet again. Holt to try and keep him in the team fight, but it doesn't quite work out. Immortality Field goes down as well, and Sado already earned himself a shatter. Are they going to expect? I'm not sure they are. Straight in the front. Hydration goes down, but Sado also ends up falling. Dante picking up 2 kills as Furioso falls. A bit over-aggressive from Fusion. They knew they had the shatter advantage and Sado let it rip, but only managed to find one in his back, and Dante was left free to do damage in the back.
And I wonder how long Philadelphia is going to stay on this Symmetra too, because the Symmetra, I think, is designed to anticipate a double shield meta, where you can come in and it's not necessarily your turrets or even the teleporter, it's that her beam is really good against shields. You're able to crack those shields, and I think that's what they're anticipating, getting those shields down and landing a shatter. But now Carpe has his ultimate up, probably going to be the last life on Symmetra if they don't win this fight.
There's Blase, in and out again. Always going to come through as well. Alarm's more than safe. Lets out the window for himself. Blizzard comes through as well. However, Jexay is going to at least be able to get the sound barrier off on 6 people. Blase is kept alive with the Immortality Field as Fury, unfortunately, drags him back in to his demise. And now the rest of Outlaws playing rather split here as Dante is able to jump into the back and kill 2 people with the help of Hydration. There's the shadow on the ground. Wasn't even needed, but hey-ho, just swing for it anyway. Hydration with a nice double kill with the Fire Strike. Cements them a victory for now, but using a lot of ultimates in that fight, and Philly got a couple coming online for the next.
It started out pretty nice for Philadelphia. They're able to drop the Symmetra ultimate and sit behind it with the Amplification Matrix, but Houston played it patient, backed off, and the Fire Strike through the Amp Matrix. We've seen so many people get a ton of kills on it. It's such a great just ability combination.
Yeah, the classic early supercharger. It does mean it's just going to buy time, not going to do much else. No ultimate charge gained either, really, which is a bit unfortunate. Ruckus and Jexay just firing from afar. Blase now up on the high ground. Does he spot the Kree? I'm not sure he does. Carpe's going to sneak behind him. Now he hears him. The punch into the wall. The rising uppercut as well. The flashbang missed. There goes Carpe. Right into the back with the Meteor Strike is Blase. However, Immortality Field is going to save Alarm, but not from Dante. It was waiting around the sidelines for the entire time. Pete came through from Fusion as their last fight is imminent. 90% on the board, and Blase takes one as Astros turned it to jam up against the backboard. And Outlaws with 100-0, unless someone from Fusion can get back. I don't think so anymore as Hydration lays them all down on their back. Outlaws taking control center.
I felt that Carpe death in my soul. I play a lot of McCree, and I'm not very good against Doomfist, but you think he did everything right. You sneak up on him, you got flashbang, you try to do everything right, then all of a sudden he's just got all that health from hitting you once. And then funny, Astro wasn't even the target for Blase's punch. Blase got displaced and ends up slamming against the wall. But I think Philadelphia came out with a very set strategy of we're going to run Symmetra, stuck to it a little long, and it's very odd that you're able to keep a player like Carpe that much in check, that silent. They got, I mean, pretty much no one for Philadelphia got anything going, and Houston's tank line just more aggressive, got in there, and their shields were up the entire time.
It is command center. I don't know why I keep calling it control center. Well, I know why, because we are on control. Anyway, teleport forward. Blase still on the Doomfist. It's what I want to see. It's like a perfect storm. No Echo, no Sombra, like I said before. In and out. However, that wall is going to be nicely set up. Fury hitting shift and walking through Outlaws. However, Mecca was able to get kept alive. Hydration is going to get frozen, but not too much damage can come about, as there is multiple shields in the way. Blase a little bit too aggro. as Fury does end up falling. Dante has been spotted. Yeah, you got hit with a hammer a couple of times. Now you're going to have to back off. Coalescence, though, is going to help Outlaws secure the point to start off.
Yeah, secure the point, and it's just the huge benefit of playing a Moira is that you're going to have ultimate up so much faster than everybody else. Philadelphia playing a much more poke composition and get too early on.
Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. There's the Shadow, though. Can he actually kill Sado? There's a lot of healing for Sado. Raucous ends up finishing him off, but they are very much all dead at that point. Now the recap comes through. Fusion with the first bit of percent for this map. And look at the ults they got to use as well. This is probably one of the hardest points to attack, especially when you're going up against a May.
It's just very difficult. Which side are you going to go in that's going to get walled off? You have to almost sacrifice somebody who's maybe got mobility that can go in and then Wraith walk out, try to bait out a wall because you don't want to get half your team cut off here. Wall comes out early.
Well, there you go. Nope. Bye-bye. Blizzard as well. Was that Blizzard from behind? I think it was. Yeah, it may have just been. Well, that's the team fight over. Goodbye, friends. Raucous has earned himself a Coalescence, though. Oh! Bye, Raucous. There you go. He was capping the point. He was trying to get a reflip there, so Fusion had to cap it and lose an extra couple of percent, but didn't get it through, unfortunately. And still, Fusion sitting on a wealth of ults.
Yeah, it's great for Philadelphia to keep their economy in good shape. Houston will have the Coalescence. You could just toss it in to open up and maybe buy space, but they're going to probably rely on maybe a Doomfist ultimate into a Hulk combo. There's the ult.
Beautiful Coalescence, actually. It's going to help take out the Supercharger. Hammer goes straight down on Blase. That was a solo Shadow too. Funny, Astro takes the kill as well. Takes the kill on Hydration also. Oh, that's a sad Supercharger. But Dante in the back is going to make use of it. That's 2 deads. Maybe they can get on the point now as long as they keep Dante alive. Fury is just running for his life, but manages to take him out regardless as Carpe was left unimpeded. And still, the Fusion hold on to the points.
Fury halted Dante, and it seemed like he regretted it instantly. He halts him closer to him. He's like, oh, God, what have I done? Turns around. I think the pack was up. He's able to get that one going. Now, 82%. This is Houston's last chance to come into this. And I think if you're looking for win conditions, it's all about hydration, trying to hit a giant shatter. With double shields up, it's going to be hard. Maybe you go for their solo shatters. At this level of play, a single kill wins you fights.
Very early beat. Alarm is going to go down. Fusion can lose this fight, Hex, as Outlaws only have 22%. Meko finds 2. OT is here. Carpe at least finds 1 and adds another couple of percent to his ult charge, but that should just be it for the team fight. It's funny, Astro also falls. Outlaws are going to find the flip. You see, Fusion there, they knew what they had to do. Use no ults, build up for the next, as Outlaws were forced to use something to win that fight.
Yeah, Outlaws jammed in the sound barrier. I didn't see exactly what happened, but Alarm going down first absolutely crushes this for Philadelphia. You've got 2 guys who need a ton of healing in your frontline tanks, and with Alarm gone, Astro just doesn't have the healing output to be able to deal with it. But Philadelphia now is Blizzard. You know, Control and Blizzard go hand in hand. It usually covers the entire point. It's about finding the angle. There's no one to eat it up for the Houston Outlaws, so they're going to have to rely on perhaps a beat to disengage from this Blizzard if it comes in.
Yeah, I mean, they're a very, very long way from B, I can tell you that right now. There's the Blizzard, High Noon at the back, and the window too. A lot of things going on, but Sado's going to get more than safe. You see that Supercharge around the side of the corner as well, Hex. They can't do anything about it. Blase at least finds one, but Astro with the boop! Oh yes, that's what we like to see from our supports. Raucous and Blase booped off the map. Ults to spare for the Fusion as well. That should just be taken over. Jexay is going to be able to stall for some more time, as well as the Wrecking Ball coming in. But Meko's going to have a very sore time against the May. Even Astro with the boom, just send it out. You might as well go straight in for the support first. Gills, can he get it? Dante is 1 HP. Oh, give it to Astro. Alarm stole it. Unlucky. But Fusion will end up securing that one. And hey, a 3rd round on Control. That's what you like to see. Outlaws starting off rather hot. And you can see it feels like they've prepped kind of very well for Fusion, but it's already like Fusion have got the read on them. They know Blase is going to play the Doomfist. Fury is always saving those hulks for when he comes in to drag him back into the rest of his team and taking him out.
And Philadelphia won control at that point without winning a fight. So you open up with the Blizzard, the May has to ice block, everyone else retreats around the corner, and that's exactly where you want the other team to be. It was almost like Houston was attacking instead of defending, and then you drop the Deadeye and control flips over for Philadelphia, and Houston has to find a way in now of the point they just had control of. Let's see if Carpe stays on this Symmetra. It didn't work out great for them early on. This might just be a teleporter play, but I thought it was going to be a teleporter play in stage 1. It was not.
Astro not going for the Reddit Lucio play. and boot people off the bridge. Although there wasn't too many people to boot. Wow, that's an early kill for Dante, killing off Carpe, but Meko does end up falling. The space creator in the Winston, not going to have a fun time anymore. Yeah. Resurrection, that was so risky. They do manage to get Meko up, but at what cost, really? They're going to have to assassinate someone at this point to make the team fight worthwhile. They do just that, and Fury going down, and Dante in the backline taking care of Alarm. Blaze's left more than safe up in the air. Astro eventually finds the kills, but the rest of his team are already dead. Carpe comes back with a little bit of vengeance, killing off Raucus, but Jexay is here to heal the rest of the team. Fusion aren't quite so lucky as Carpe almost gets taken out, but somehow without support. Funny, Astro was diving around the point. Carpe was left to do whatever he pleased out on the sidelines, and Fusion, rather miracle Hex, managed to keep hold of that point.
It was some silver lining that Carpe died super early on the Symmetra because they needed something to be able to contest this Pharah, so he's able to get back into the fight. Astro's able to keep the fight alive without giving the flip up, and Carpe comes back and gets a couple of the kills. Just a visual bug sometimes, though, that the May ice block is going to the wrong color, so it may have looked like the Outlaws had an ice block on point. No, that was Ivy. Something to keep in mind as you're observing these fights.
Yeah, I will, I'll definitely mess that one up in a minute, actually, just watch.
So, caster curse, caster curse.
Sticks him. Can they follow up with any damage, though? Oh, the most dangerous ult in the game is going to get thrown out, but Meko is going to jump into the primal rage. That beat was enough to keep the rest of his team alive. Not quite, as the nano primal rage and Winston takes care of Carpe. Apparently that's what you need. A 1000 HP gorilla to take him out. There's going to be a Blizzard laying down, but is it going to be worth it? Funny, Astro keeps the team fight alive, though, as Raucus does get moved off the edge, as Meko just desperately tries to take out this May. Eventually, Ivy is focused down, but all this meanwhile, Fusion is still holding on to this point Hex. Fury is going to be able to come back with mines as well. Even Alarm switching over to a Moira to try and stall out this point for even longer. 60% and building as Alarm eventually gets taken out, and Outlaws find the flip.
Yeah, it'll come back, but as you mentioned, a very good stall out for the Philadelphia Fusion. And Carpe doesn't have a Pharaoh in the skies to be able to deal with now, but he's so good on the McCree that I think he sticks with it. It also checks Dante from being able to do whatever he wants in the background. I mean, Philadelphia could go in and lay the mines down, but you want a concerted push, a concerted effort to push the team into the mines. It seems like they might be setting that up now. Fury's on a different side of the map than his team.
He spots the Ana. There he is. Raucus! Oh, no! Oh, he didn't see it coming. Fury gets slept, but it don't matter. The Blinds are going to come out and kill Sado, though. Carpe is going to be able to unleash the Deadeye, but it's a bit of an odd angle. It's better off just to kind of stick yourself on the point. Jexay was able to get the res off with the help of his ultimate, but gets almost 5 tapped by Carpe, narrowly escapes death. This is a very slow, stalled out team fight, it feels like, but there's the Deadeye. Hydration goes down. They're slowly whittling away at Outlaws' health bars as Fusion end up finding the recap. And Hex, they're only 30% away from taking the dub here. They are undefeated on this map, mind you, as well, going 3-0. I wonder if Outlaws can actually find the dub here and actually take them out and ruin that perfect scoreline. It doesn't look hopeful at the time being, though. Sado and Alarm both have ults coming up, as well as Astro, only 15% away from that beat.
Yeah, they had Jexay on the Mercy. It was a remnant of the Pharaoh Mercy that they started this composition with, and they just didn't have the engage or disengage tools that Philadelphia had. And like you mentioned, now Philadelphia can have both support ultimates to try to close out this map.
Teleport, Nano, Blase in the back, goes flashbanged, already under 100 HP, has to back off. And all that meanwhile, Ivy was in the back, killing off Raucus. This is disaster for the Outlaws. They need to be able to get back. Someone needs to be able to pop off. It could just be done. Oh, Blase even, but he gets taken out instantly by Astro. There it is. In a blink of an eye, Fusion will take the victory. 4-0 now on this map type. Still undefeated on Lijiang as they go 1-0 up in the series.
Yeah, I mean, Houston did win the first stage, but in my opinion, it felt like Philadelphia played themselves a little bit, sticking with the Symmetra, which in theory is really good if you're anticipating the double shield to be able to burn down both the Reinhardt and the Orisa shield. It never really came to fruition. They stuck on the sim a little too long and were always behind the 8-ball. I don't think you take Carpe off of the ace plays that he can make. You saw him come back on a couple of these stages as McCree late and have a huge impact on the team. Even got Deadeye value, which can be very difficult against these compositions. So, yeah, Houston won the very first stage of this map, but I really feel that might be more of a case of Philadelphia lost the first stage, because the other two stages looked all Philly.
Yeah, Command Center is a bit of a tricky one. I must say, especially with someone like Doomfist, as Outlaws were playing, of course. There's so many walls for him to punch people onto, and it really just left a lot of the Fusion to kind of make sure their backs were being taken care of, basically. And it's like, okay, so we can't really put ourselves up against the wall, even though it's almost impossible against Control Center, and Blase was able to take over the game. Fusion coming back and reading them like a book, and I gotta say, the May versus May is definitely in favor of the Fusion. I can imagine we're going to see a little bit more of that, but I really do hope for some dive. We're going to jump to a quick break though, guys. Do not go anywhere. We've got map number 2 coming up soon.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by CHEEZIT Groups. Deep flavor, deep crunch. It's a mind crunch. And by Zipchair GAMING, the official chair supplier of the Overwatch League. Coca-Cola is the official refreshment of the Overwatch League.
Hey guys, welcome back. This is Philadelphia Fusion versus the Houston Outlaws. 1-0 up currently. The Fusion after they take Lijiang Tower 2-1. A couple of subs coming in as well, Hex. We've got Hisu in the DPS role, and we have Repel and Linksa coming in for the Outlaws. With time to see some Linksa, Hex. I couldn't wait any longer. We're going on to Hollywood as our map as well, so surprise, surprise, hit scan's pretty good. So we are seeing Linksa come on in.
It's actually the memory I most associate with Linksa. It was probably early 2016, something around those times, watching him on Hollywood 2nd Westworld on the far roof, play Defensive Widow, and just kill everyone who walked through the doorway. It was astonishing. It's the map that I will always associate with Linksa. I think he's had some of his best performances on it, so it's good to see him in there. Also, you want to run an Ashe on first point. You can run Widow on second. There's a lot of things that Linksa excels at. It makes a lot of sense that he would be coming in to play at least this map. I mean, as you mentioned, the Doomfist early on Lijiang is really good, but you need an Ashe, you need a Widow on Hollywood.
Yeah, it's actually really cool that we're seeing a little bit more Ashe. Of course, the change to her reload speed helped her out more than I actually expected it to be fair, because I always put Ashe in the category of, like, she's kind of meh because she's not Kree and then she's not Widow. She's like in between. Yeah. But because of this reload speed change, you're able to just the DPS output is now just kind of staggering, alongside Bob being a rather useful tool. Not for killing people, of course, we have seen a lot of Bob kill feed clips recently, but the Dynamite and to be able to create a lot of space with Bob as well, and even stall out points some of the time.
Yeah,
also.
Bob can cap carts. I mean, we've seen Bob be super effective, and your point is well taken, though, is not Kree, not Widow. I think the initial design concept is let's make a hybrid of the kind of a little better than McCree at this range, a little worse than Widow at that range, and I think people are finally figuring out the correct ranges. And like you said, there's overall a feel. She just feels better with the reload speed and a lot of things happening. But, I mean, one of the interesting things you want to talk about this Houston team, I mean, I could talk about Linkser all day, and often I do, but that they're subbing out Muma for Hydration, and I thought maybe Muma would come in here, because when I think of Muma now, I think of it as like, it's probably just a Winston. Like, that's really the only hero I think of him as being solid on, but Hydration has been playing the tank role for this.
Yeah, I mean, with Hydration coming in, and you're looking at the stats there across the board, it's kind of, the stats are so close to this point, and especially with the playtime stats as well, I think it's very hard to kind of differentiate the two players. But you can almost feel like, because Hydration is the DPS player and kind of wants to jump in on the back line, you can kind of see that in the final blows, in the kills. You're able to kind of, he's able to set himself up for these big plays, right? And it's like, okay, so I'm going to kill the Ana, but I'm going to wait until she's chunked out just a little bit as I jump in as Winston. Or, you know, it could come down to being able to create the space as well, which is something that Moom is extremely good at. I'm excited to see a lot of players kind of switch off these roles and play in other ones. It was always quite interesting, and when in Apex you saw a lot of support players flip over to the Widowmaker when Rollock wasn't introduced, obviously because that's way back when. Rollock's a rather recent thing of these times. So it's actually cool seeing other players, DPS players, tank players, support players, change up and change to these roles. But Hydration, he's doing pretty well so far. A bit of an odd composition we saw last Matt Pex was the Orisa and the Winston, although it did feel like they were staying on those picks because of ults. But it can work out some of the times. We've seen a lot of wacky tank lines from the Asia region as well.
Well, I think Hydration has that flexibility, and we're able to talk to him just a little bit, and we'll see what he has to say about his flexibility in playing tank.
It's challenging at first to swap between roles. With some practice, it makes it really easy. And the added flexibility of me being able to play two different roles, it allows us to have a backup main tank, and allows me to come in on DPS whenever we need me. And all in all, it's definitely something that's really helpful for the team.
Well, there you go. I mean, at the end of the day, the guy's a bit of a beast, regardless of what role you're going to put him on, right? So, of course, he's going to be a top-tier tank player along with the rest of them. And Outlaws, they have been in a tricky situation, right? Maybe this is the kind of fuel to the fire that they've really needed to blow up teams like Houston. It's always going to be a hard-fought battle, of course, just going on Houston's caliber, just roll to roll to roll to roll, but just their history as a team as well. Fusion have always been rather scary over the last couple of years.
Yeah.
Carpe is one of those people that makes it terrifying. Him versus Linkser in Hollywood is going to be just ridiculous.
Yeah, but I mean, going back to Hydration, this is not a thing that just happened this season. They were doing it a little bit last season. It was largely, I think, because Hydration just had a better Orisa than Muma did. And I think you want the flexibility of not being locked in on a single kind of tank lineup. But here we go. Hollywood, one of my favorite maps of all time.
Hollywood. I do like it as well. I like it when I'm playing hit scam, because it's very fun to set up on the high ground as Widow, click the enemy Widow's head, and then you're free to do what you so choose, because no one else can do anything about you. Widow's very fun to play against sometimes when the enemy Widow's just dominating you. I'm sure you can find a couple of chips or clips about that. But as we step into this game, we will see Fusion on the offense first. It will mean we get to see the Outlaws comp. Of course, Linkser is going to be on that Ashe. I think Ashe is obviously quite suited to the range that she's given, especially on first point. And she can contest Widow on second if you do get hyper-rolled. We'll see if Linkser does want to change off a little bit later on. But with Hydration on this Winston and Dante on this Junkrat, to me, Hex, it feels like they want to go for pure spam, and then they have Hydration jump in with the backup of Repel to then insta-kill the person that's chunked out in the backline.
Yeah, but you do have to kind of let them in if you want to have that happen, so you can't really play too far forward on this. It's really interesting. I like watching a little bit of Junkrat, and Houston Outlaw fans should be used to seeing Junkrats on several different maps. They're kind of the team that made it popular. Of course, our colleague Jake being the Jake Rat that he is. Philadelphia going to take a peek out here and see if they need to make any switches, but probably just run some double hit scan. I mean, it's one of the reasons you make the substitution is so Carpe and Hisu can play together. But yeah, that's... You kind of have to let them through the doorway to get them chunked so that Hydration has a good jump to be that finishing blow.
That's a lot of damage. I love the ticks on this server. Obviously, the tick rate is a little bit higher, and you can just hear it go rather than just smaller. It's like Winston as well.
I think you have the makings of a good
the tick noises.
It's a start to a good techno song. I think you're halfway there.
Anyway, whoa, okay. Lynx had just got dominated by Alarm's right click, although he is going to get resurrection. Luckily, Dante is 6 HP.
He's in so much trouble.
Well, no, he's dead. Dante was able, Hisu even was able to get to high ground, and now Hisu controls the high ground, and Lynx are a little bit too scared. He's going to have Jexay to kind of back him up. They do nano the Sigma in this situation, not Hydration, who's getting chunked out time and time again by Hisu. And this Dynamite is getting to be so difficult to actually push this point. And Alarm's now able to just click on Meko. Alarm obviously quite famous for his Zenyatta, his most famous pick, I must say. And it's a wonder to see him back on it again. Already earning himself a Transcendence too. There's a Flux in the back line. Jexay, Repel end up going down, and a little bit more of a slow push from the Fusion, but decisive nonetheless.
Well, it's got that feeling of inevitability to it when you have an Ashe and double shields and you've got a Zenyatta in the backline. Eventually, you're going to poke in too much damage, and it's just going to be overwhelming. A really nice play from Hisu to take away the high ground from the opposing Mercy and Ashe just by hitting shots. You make the Mercy go down low, and then you start hitting shots on the Ashe, and she has to go down low too. So Philadelphia never seemed like they were out of control of that fight, and it's just what the double shield will bring you. So far, haven't really seen them, where the Houston Outlaws rather make great use of this Winston. Now it's going to be a little bit different because they can control high ground, but I imagine Philadelphia just going to try to slow slog and wait for Houston to engage.
I can hear that Ana being a pesky menace. Definitely wants to be able to try and take her out. However, Ebob's going to do a whole bunch. Carbe's going to have to do something rather fast, or his team aren't really going to be able to make much of a move here. Lynx and Hisu taking out each other's bobs. Unfortunately, we didn't see the one-on-one bob, but that's just...
It was in the corner. It was a little bob battle. A bobble, if you will.
A bobble. Wow. New phrase every single day. Beautiful stick by Carpe. That looked like it went into the ground, but still managed to catch the heel of Repel. And Carpe donking Dante in the head. Did you see that? I think he was tactical crouching actually on top of the car, and Lynxer took him out. He also takes out Alarm. I'm not entirely sure if that was you dodging Carpe or just giving a little bit of disrespect. Regardless, Fusion are at least able to push on forwards now. A resurrection onto Lynxer will help them for the time being, but it's going to have to be a rather quick retest here before the second point, before Fusion set up.
Yeah, it was kind of tough because Jexay fell off the top, and it made Lynxer have to move forward so that Jexay had a target to be able to Guardian Angel up to. But in that brief moment, there wasn't the healing, and they were able to really take control and push this one through. Philadelphia coming up on a Transcendence and another Bob, but Houston's got ults to use. It's time.
There's a Flux happening in the background. Alarm's still holding onto this Transcendence as well. Good pick by Carpe. Another word, good pick by Hydration as he does manage to get onto the payload. However, the Bob is going to help stall it out for the time being. Repel finding two, and Carpe finds revenge. Regardless of how many kills your Carpe does end up getting on your team, it's a bit unfortunate when Meko and Hydration are keeping this payload alive.
That's his third kill in that team fight, but he was the only one to get anything done. But Houston has to use everything that they had. There is going to be a Bob up for them. I don't know, man. Jexay seems a little bit uncomfortable on this Mercy. They really want to help out Lynxer and give him all the tools in the world. Like you said, damage boosted Ashe can do a ton here. But Philadelphia is going to come in with nearly every ult aside from Bob. So I think Fury could be a great opening salvo here to try to get a Flux in. But speaking of openings, Carpe just makes one.
Guard the res, guard the res. That's what he's done. And, oh, the pokes bomb into Narnia. Didn't quite find anything, but that would have been a highlight clip and a half. He did. Dante ends up going down to the Flux. And that will send Jexay high in the sky as well for Sado just to play Duck Hunt with. As the rest of Outlaws falling, one Flux can do it. And Alarm still holding on to this Transcendence. Nice little Dynamite. Repel doesn't stand a chance. Tried to find the kill. Ain't gonna happen. Outlaws now to defend for third point for 3 minutes. Not the worst time, to be fair to you, Hex. This is rather a defensible point, especially if you have someone like Sigma, and Bob also does a whole bunch on this map as well. There are a few hiding spaces you can get behind, but the main kind of tunnel the car is going to go down, Bob can be quite a menace at kind of holding that.
Well, Bob's just going to get launched out immediately.
He is going to die very fast. There, he's dead. Well, there it is.
Well,
there he is.
Easy Bob, easy go. That's what they always. That's what they say.
Really?
Nope.
I've never heard anybody say that.
Well, you have now. You have now.
Well, there it is. Add another one to the books. Supercharger on the corner. Hisu's Dynamite doing a bazillion damage. Hydration ends up going down, and now Carpe can basically do what he chooses. Hasn't got to really worry about Hydration kind of counter-diving his backline. That's the best thing about a Tracer. If the dive tanks on the enemy team fall, hey, just mince up the backline, because their Tracer has to defend. Pulse Bomb onto Sado, but gets healed up rather fast. Immortality Field did fall, but hey, that's all that really did happen. Now Carpe's in the back. He's in the back line trying to get Repel on easy kill with the Dynamite following up. That's what I talked about before, Hex. They go on fire and Carpe just finishes them off. Hydration and Carpe end up swapping places. Carpe with the Pulse Bomb too throws it on out. He didn't even need it. In 1 minute, the Fusion were able to get it from second to third. Alarm, I believe that's his first transcendence of the fight and of the round, as he used it as more of a victory firework than anything else. Good time bank for Fusion, 1 minute and 57. Can Outlaws go for the match?
I mean, this Philadelphia team as a whole is really solid, but then you also still just get those performances out of Carpe that you can't really account for. 13 limbs, 10 final blows. It was the Carpe and Fury show, as Fury follows it up with 15 limbs, 8 final blows on the Sigma play, and the Sigma fluxes were giantly impactful. Carpe was getting openings. It was making Jexay try to go for resurrections and just try to find an escape route, and like I said, that Mercy didn't look comfortable the entire time, but I mean, at some point, you have to be able to try to duel Carpe just to check him, to put some pressure on him, but he was alive the entire time going after the backline, and look, Philadelphia is a hard enough team to beat when Carpe is having mediocre games. I don't know if they're beatable when Carpe has games like this.
No. No. Not beatable. Unbeatable. I'm calling it right now, Hex.
It also just didn't
Carpe
seem like Hydration was ever able to find an opening to pressure out Alarm. I mean, Hydration was getting cleanup kills, but it's not really like the initiation kills that kind of quasi-dive they're running. I don't know. I don't quite understand the Winston pick here, especially against this double shield. It just seems like a glacier moving forward. It's going to eventually get there.
That was a ridiculously good analogy for this comp. You are right. I mean, Hydration, who's going to dive? It's like, well, kill Alarm. Oh, wait, Funny Astro's there. And Sado's there to pull him off. Oh, and Rock as well. Well?
Yeah, that's speaking of analogies, that's a pretty good analogy for Houston sometimes.
Oh, my word. Well, he tried to get up on the high ground and ended up hitting the lamp pole. Happens to the best of us, don't worry. Good lord, he's never going to live that down because the cameras are on him. I love the observers able to capture these ridiculous moments when we're least expecting it.
Well,
this is what happens to Hydration right here, look.
Yeah, what are you going to do?
What he do? He do nothing right now. Oh, he dive backline. Can he kill? He no kill. He's stunned. And he almost dies to Discord Orb and a lot of damage.
Well,
see, this is the problem.
It makes him burn lamp, too.
Yeah. And now, I mean, you have to jump out because you haven't got another jump to spare. Repel has at least built up a nano boost, Hex, but is it actually going to help Hydration survive? Maybe a little bit. He ends up jumping to the back line and Coach gunned away. And now he just kind of Tezzacans people through the shields, and that is it. That is the rest of your dive really completed. It's going to take a miracle to kill Hisu here, as the Immortality Field do come out. At least Linkson was able to create a little bit of space, killing off Carpe. Window on the sidelines as well helps take down Fury, as they do make their way onto the point.
Yeah, a lot of resources had to be devoted to trying to make sure that their Ashe didn't die, and that's what you have to do as Houston, is take advantage of Hydration potentially creating a 2v1 so that the rest of your team has a 5v4. And they were finally able to do it there because Hydration does go in the back. That means that Funny Astro has to come back and help out. So for a moment, Funny Astro and Hisu are out of the fight. That creates a lot of sight lines up front for Linkser to have to worry about Hisu. And also you can start bullying out the other tanks because, you know, the double shield not as mobile, but also without Funny Astro in the mix, you have to take advantage of that small timing window to be able to exploit. And that's what Hydration maybe is trying to do. Let's just try to create different uneven situations on the ground, not necessarily going for kills, but I'm going to give you guys a 5v4, and it's up to you 5 to deal with.
is taking away the resources. Well, you did see the lamp go down ridiculously early to try and save Yisu. Did result in no healers looking at Carpe, who went down. There's a Primal Rage, trying to take out Fury. Supercharger ends up getting instantly deleted by Dante. Can they find any additional kills with the Flux? No, they cannot. It doesn't look like they were in a place to do so. The sidelines are completely blocked by this little roof. There's the nano boost onto the back line again. No Mortality Field available anymore, but Hydration gets chunked out and instantly killed. Did you see the Discord orb there? Yeah. Oh, the Bobby Bob in the shield. Oh, Lynx's Bob is going to take the dub, I think. Oh, no, no one did. They actually timed out before either of them got kills. Alarm, though, comes back with 2. Lynxa and Jexay end up falling. That's what you want to see from your Zen. Oh, boy, do I miss playing him.
Can you win this? Can you win this, though? It's not a 1v1 anymore.
Oh, Dante!
He had Arissa there, too.
He slid right past him. It's like he's on ice skates and just smacked him in the side of the head. He did end up going down, though, so it didn't really mean a whole bunch.
So the Houston composition looks a lot better on offense, where they have the initiation factor and they're able to go in. It seemed like they were never able to do that while Philadelphia was pushing, but Hydration's able to take high ground, he's able to initiate, and then they can play around it rather than waiting for the play on defense. So this composition makes a ton more sense to me on the offensive end of Hollywood than it does defense, but still, 3 minutes remain. Cart halfway through the second stage of Hollywood is something sometimes referred to as the West World.
The West World. Dynamite in the back. Didn't really find anything, but beautiful headshot through the window. Insta-killing Alarm. You're like a Widowmaker in that situation if you're Lynxa with the window in front of you. One shot kill to the dome. Lynxa's playing a little bit paranoid. Yeah, he knows Carpe's around. You can see just his silhouette. Can he actually find him? Right on top of his head. Oh, he doesn't spot him. What the? What? He didn't spot him. Not even the little quiff on Tracer's hair was visible. Now Carpe's coming up on the back. Will Lynxa get one clip? That's the question.
But
whoa, no, it doesn't matter, actually, because the payload ended up getting capped. Yeah, meanwhile, on the payload, the Outlaws were able to cap it with a little bit of a greater time bank, in fact, than Fusion did.
Yeah, I mean...
Beautiful nade in the front line, too.
Carpe wins the hide-and-seek competition, but they lose the point, so I mean, it's not really quite as important, although winning hide-and-seek's awesome. And now Houston have this great deal of momentum, and it seems like their initiations just seem so much cleaner now that they don't have to play the defense. And right now, they're reaching some win conditions here because they've got a nano boost on hydration, and that can get him the last 10% here that he needs to. Go in there and cause chaos with Primal, let Lynxer clean up in the back, but Philadelphia is ready to catch this. Nearly 6 ultimates in their bank, support ultimates being very important, of course.
Repel almost caught that in the back of the head. Luckily that Mortality Field came down to save him from the pulse bomb. Like you said, they're still setting up. Hydration goes pretty low. Instantly, look at the health bar.
Yeah, he's got
under
Primal.
half HP already. Now has to play safe. Primal in the back line as soon as that window came out. Immortality Field's going to save them for the time being. Are they going to be able to take it out? No, they are not. And Hydration gets burnt out yet again. Immortality Field gone, but the Transcendence is there to save the rest of Fusion. A dive could have been rather deadly. That's deadly. Oh, that headshot was clean. He's just ripping around the corner. Outlaws now only one team fight realistically, Hex, of actually taking the points. 2 minutes does remain in the time bank, but the stall is inevitable.
Yeah, and Philadelphia emptied their bank. They had everything, and now they have absolutely nothing left. I'd imagine this window comes up at some point in time. Hydration gets abused, though, so maybe you don't go in just yet. I think the window's going to come down right in front of Lynxer. They've been making sure Lynxer has no excuse to not just dominate this map, whether it be the Mercy or the Baptiste Amplification Matrix. Oh!
Dearie me. Oh, Carpe. That was unfortunate. Didn't quite get the melee. I'll tell you what was the problem there for Houston, right, was you were looking at Hydration on the Winston. He dives in, gets almost deleted. However, Hisu is on top of the truck, and what do? You have to get Lynxer to try and contest him, but he's at such a bad angle that Hisu was able to just throw dynamites in, play aggressive, and just follow up on the Discord orb. There's the stick, there's the melee, there's the kill. The stick didn't even go off. It was Alarm, actually, who found the headshot in the end. Lynxer does duel him out, was waiting for the Tracer to recall, but still with Philly in an advantage as they do have spawns. And even now, Lynxer and Dante going low with Hisu once again playing super aggro.
I mean, that's why the truck is so important, too, is that you're able to sit on the truck, and like I said, it's a terrible angle, but also you can make this rotation of when you feel like you have the space to do it, you can come up and start taking the shots over here.
I mean, it's cool when you get a giant nade to heal everybody. That window! What is that? They're trying to like defend this situation and stop Carpe from doing anything. Meko does get nano boosted, lifts everybody up into the sky with the flux and manages to take out Fury. Alarm being the man of the hour once again, kills off Linksa, but Dante in the back, making sure the back line have something to pay attention to. 30 seconds now remains. Philly can stall this one out. If they do get it, well, if they do send it to OT, they get a free attack. But Dante is going to spawn camp them at the doors. A Transcendence to save their lives for the time being. And Astro on his old faithful Lucio to get back to the point as well. Now 20 seconds remains. This looks almost inevitable that they're going to get a free attack at this point as Dante ends up going down as well, Hex.
It's an enormous kill because Dante was carrying, and there's the second kill. They changed to the stall heroes, but the support ultimates came in so big.
Hisu again, dynamite kill onto Hydration, then a headshot onto Repel and Jexay. He ends up going down, but he was playing frontline that whole time. This is it. Fusion get a free attack, if they can even cap. Outlaws aren't going to be able to get to the back to the payload. Dante gets taken out by Alarm. Alarm is just such a Chad. Hisu as well, just defending it with his life. This is just immovable. Like you said, Hex, an iceberg. It's not just that comp, it's the entire Philadelphia Fusion roster refuse to move off the payload. They end up taking it on the third point, 2-0 in the series.
It's just so interesting that you see Philadelphia and who comes alive, whether it's offense or defense. I would say that Tracer's a better offensive hero than defensive, and you saw Carpe have an enormous game on the offense. I would say that Ash is a better defensive hero than offense, and you saw Hisu absolutely clean up, especially when they got that back. I mean, if you're not playing on top of that truck on Hollywood Last as Ash, you are making a mistake, because the coach gun rotation, you get to the top of when the team gets pushed out. You're in such a tough angle for them, for the opposing Ash or Widow or almost anyone to try to come deal with you. It's a great setup. Fury was consistent, but the DPS, it's Carpe carries on offense, Hisu on defense, the Ash play was astounding, and also Philadelphia's transition was so clean. They knew that they were down to 30 seconds, or as it was almost like a minute, and they started losing people, instant transition to stall heroes, to stall tanks, and then they come out, they blaze out of spawn, getting camped by Dante with the Transcendence. They just know their condition to win at the very end is, well, at least get a free push, we can go to the draw, they burn everything, they make the transition super smooth, and Philadelphia looks like the unstoppable force that we've seen them become.
Kind of absurd Philly win those situations, but you only need one pick if you're on the defense. Keep that in mind if you jump into solo queue. Only need that one pick and you can kind of slowly trickle out then and able to turn the tides of war. That's exactly what the Philadelphia Fusion did. 2-0 in the series thus far. Can the Outlaws come back? We'll have to wait and find out. We're going to jump to a quick break, guys. Don't go anywhere.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by T-Mobile. Switch today and rank up to America's largest 5G network, T-Mobile. And by State Farm. For auto, home, or renters insurance, like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. To our game break presented by Pringles. Wavy, Zoe here, joined by Costa and Reinforce. And currently, the Philadelphia Fusion are up 2-0 against the Houston Outlaws. However, don't let this result fool you, because actually the Outlaws are playing really well and they are making it close. They came in hot on control. However, unfortunately, Philly kind of figured them out towards the tail end of it. But let's discuss it. Costa, what are your thoughts on what we're seeing so far from the Houston Outlaws?
I think they look good, and the fundamentals seem to be there. Where they seem to be falling short a little bit is just some weird comp choices at certain times, not really playing to their strengths, and just some bad ult usage. We saw, especially on Hollywood, we saw Hydration playing a lot of Winston in situations that it doesn't really make sense. On the third point, he's really struggling to get anything done. He was playing well on the Reinhardt. They did look okay when they were playing the Sigma Orisa. I don't really know where they're trying to force this. And then at other times, they're just sort of falling into the trap that they always have. We seem to be going back to the case of Raucus and Repeller just jumping between maps. So I hope this isn't a common trend, because, as I said, they do look pretty good in this match.
Yeah, I mean, it's a bit shaky, it's a bit up and down. There are some good moments, there are some bad moments. It feels a bit chaotic in my mind, and I feel like Hydration is sort of not the entire player, like he's not the entire fault with this team, you know. You cannot simply blame everything on Hydration, but the fact of the matter is that, like, sometimes he had some questionable leaps. You know, there are some primals where Dante isn't necessarily following up, and like the chemistry seems a little bit off for the Houston Outlaws. Then they're playing this sort of like unique strategy as well. I mean, we saw Hydration on the Orisa at some points, and I feel like that was generally a pretty good composition. But sometimes they were forcing this Winston and Sigma composition, and that's sort of what you have to do now when there is no diva in the pool, and then you go on a map like Hollywood where high ground is so important, so you kind of want to play the Winston. It's just, you know, it's pretty complicated to get a good composition working in this current hero pool, but it feel like they were sort of trying to force something. Players weren't necessarily that synced, and it was a bit all over the place. But some good moments and some bad moments.
You're being really hard on them, though. Like
well,
if you just look at their performance and say, did they exceed your initial expectations going into this? Did you think that I can actually play the way they are right now against the Philadelphia Fusion?
It is 2-0, but the score, it is closer than the scoreline suggests. They have taken them to 3 rounds. They have got very close to capping out Hollywood. So there are some positive signs coming out from this Houston team. And remember, they are playing as the Philadelphia Fusion, which is up there with one of the best teams in the league. So we're just trying to find the holes in the Houston play so that if they can plug them, then I think they will actually be a good team and they will rise up the ranks. So it is positive signs, but there are definitely some glaring issues that we're seeing right now.
Yeah, I will say they are looking good, Zoe. But then there are some frustrating mistakes that you don't really want to see at this level of Overwatch. So, you know, it goes both ways. Yes, they are having a pretty good performance, and yes, the scoreline is a bit misleading because they are actually playing Philly pretty close, but sometimes there are some mistakes that are pretty glaring, and that's the ones where I would like to see improvement on. And when they get those mistakes fixed and they improve upon that, that's when I really feel like the Houston Outlaws can kick in and become a good team.
Yeah, I'm just excited to, for once, see the reality being a little bit higher than my actual expectations. That doesn't happen too often. Speaking of expectations, we have a wonderful crunch time for you, presented by Pringles Wavy. It's some good old-fashioned, some real entertaining Bob-on-Bob action.
There's no good way to say it.
This is the Thunderdome right now. Look at them. They're in the monkey bubble. Hydration is respecting the 1v1. He even dies next to it so that he can spectate as it goes on. Look at that. I honestly think we even got some healing there. Unfortunately, it ended in a stalemate. There was some healing thrown in by Jexay at the last second to make sure the Houston Outlaws Bob didn't go down. But very interesting, a very surprising outcome from this
I'm happy when the Bobs get out. You know, every Bob who survives and goes to a different planet. I don't know where they're flying, but I appreciate this clip. I thought it was a great clip, and I'm happy that they got out safely.
Yeah, where do Bobs go? I do wonder.
Oh, that's too deep.
This is a really deep question, isn't it? Well, we will think about that as we're heading into the second half. However, you have to make sure to stay tuned because after this match, we have a special treat coming your way. Bren and Josh will be joined by sports commentator, former NFL player, and most importantly, Overwatch League caster Spice Adams. But for now, we're going ahead into the second half of this match. Enjoy.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by Pringles Wavy. Big crunch, big flavor. The Overwatch League is brought to you by HyperX. Unleash your style, unleash your fury with HyperX Fury Memory. And by Coca-Cola, the official refreshment of the Overwatch League.
Oh no, off the edge you go again, Jix is a madman!
Sur une hache. Bon Sado qui se régale. Sado qui en fait.
带走了 DK， 哎，迪克的默默还在。这个时候没扣的
Bongo's going to run out fairly soon. Yaki in the 1v1. Carve, can he get his head? Yes, he can! The Discord orb plus Yaki and Gennochi. Welcome back. Fusion facing up against the Outlaws. Map number 3 coming up soon. It's going to be Voskai Industries and Hex. Assault might not be the most
you wish.
What do you mean you wish? I wish what?
Nothing. I thought you said I'm Hex. Did you not?
Okay, wait, what? I'm so confused. I
Moving
woke
forward.
up with what it feels like 45 minutes ago. Moving forward, Volskaya Industries, and I am joined by Hex. Actually, there is a special guest later on, though, a little bit spicy, which will be kind of fun. Make sure you stick around. Volskaya Industries, interesting map. Game mode, not well liked by some people. Volskaya Industries, especially, I think, is one of the most stally maps out there, it feels like, at least. But both these teams don't really have the best win rate on the map. I'm going to put it bluntly.
No.
Neither of them
No.
have actually won it recently.
But if you're a Houston fan, and I know there are many of you, I can hear the screaming right now still from the arena days of the Houston fans. This is their best map type, is Assault. Their 54.5% win rate on this map type this season, so there is still some hope left. Hollywood wasn't completely one-sided. Some clutch plays at the end from Hisu on the Ash really brought it back for Philadelphia. But yeah, I mean, Volskaya, I don't know. We'll see. I think Linkser is going to stay in. Do we have any substitutions on the other side? Not that I generally see here. So going to run the same thing. Hydration is staying in on the main tank, but this is back against the wall for Houston, down 0-2 against Philadelphia. Philadelphia is a team that will let you back into a series. So if I'm Philadelphia and I've got a team on the ropes, I think this is the one thing they really need to learn is kind of the killer instinct that teams, I think, that like San Francisco Shock has. That if another team is struggling, if another team is drowning, just throw them an anchor, just knock it out, just be done with it once and for all. So I would like to see Philadelphia come out and stomp here. I think it would be a statement for them that they don't always have to go to 5. They don't give up maps that they should generally be winning.
Where's the map upstairs in Legion? And Blase was on the Doomfist, and
Right. Well, I mean, the very first stage of Lijiang Tower definitely went towards the Houston Outlaws, but I think it was Philadelphia just kind of throwing with the Symmetra pick in anticipation that they're going to crack shields, win the first fight, and do it. We'll see if we see any sort of super interesting picks coming out from Philadelphia on their offense, but of course right now on the screen you've got the Houston Outlaws defense. We know what they're going to be rolling out with because they are outside of spawn. It's been a very good Widow map. It's been a very good Ash map. That's why Linkser is staying in, but I think if Houston really has a chance to come back into this series, you're going to have to see Dante kind of carry the load for this team, and he's capable of doing it. We've seen him do it several times before. And I think Houston is really smart here to run double shields as well. Hydration and Mecha were going to play both shield tanks. Philadelphia, right now, they were showing a bit of the Genji, but this is not a team with Sparkle on it, so I don't know if you generally want to be running the Genji. Linkser's gets that dynamite off, doesn't hit the light pole this time. Do I get you back, Jaws? I'm not sure. Cool. I'm doing wonderful. Okay, well, production's telling me no, so I'm still having a one-sided conversation. We're just going to watch this game. I will try to rap God as best as possible, but there are guys who do it better than I do. Right now, just trying to look for an entry here is Hisu trying to get the early kills, get some early damage on the positioning right now for Philadelphia, just kind of playing around the dump truck. We've got the flank from Fury going up top. He's squatted up with a Zenyatta over there. And it just seems like right now Philadelphia is trying to pull the Houston Outlaws in several different directions and look for opening kills. Linkser gets discorded. He's got to back out there very quickly. Now Philadelphia seem to be trying to regroup, but Dante, with that carry potential, does come in and take down Alarm, but now it's a trade. Tracer on Zen right there. Can Carpe get another? Unable to confirm the kill, but there's the confirm from his DPS partner in crime, and Hisu takes down Linkser. They get the dynamite going in there. Philadelphia now has the man advantage on the points, and if Houston tries to contest back through this main pack room, they're just going to get pulse bombed. The bomb goes out. It does just take down the lamp. Hisu living in the lamplight himself with his team, going to try to just mess with the Tracer behind him. But cleaned up and dispatched rather easily are the Houston Outlaws, unless there's the biggest play ever from Dante, and he gets a start on it. He gets Hisu very early on. Hydration comes back in, and this one is on the brink, but Houston not giving it up just yet. They've got 4. They're at least trying to get ultimates out. They do get 2 ultimates out. Alarm gets knocked to the roof by that Bob, and now Fury goes down after he used his Flux. Houston, against all odds, seems to be holding on to this one.
Yeah, Yeah.
Alarm gets taken out on the exit, and this is what has to happen if Houston is going to win a map and get back into this series. It's going to have to be Dante on the hard carry, and he just staying alive towards the end put so much pressure on the Philadelphia Fusion that everyone else from the Houston Outlaws was able to come back into the mix and fight again. Back to the drawing board, but Volskaya is a very long map. So only 90 seconds left. That was such a prolonged fight for Philadelphia. They end up getting 2 ticks out of it, though, so only need a third on the point. I doubt you're going to see the ultra-aggressive flank play that you saw from Fury there going up to the top. And now they're just holding on. No, Fury is going for the flank yet again. The rest of Philadelphia is setting up. You just have this kind of very small duel on the outside. And thank God I can take a breath because I believe my friend Jack is back.
I think we're back. Hopefully we are. Apologies for that. Well, 1 minute. Would you look at that? I was trying to reset everything. Maybe this is actually working now. I hope so. Hizu has Bob. Dante already goes down, and rather strong streak for the Fusion, although this Bob is going to be able to create a whole lot of space, but Sado ends up falling. Outlaws not out of this series just yet, as Rappel uses the Transcendence to keep everybody alive and well, but with Lynx are falling, that's a whole bunch of their damage now missing. The Fusion
all of it to be
on their offense
accurate.
should be able to get out to cap it now, you'd think.
And it was just solving the problem that was Dante. Dante had the carry in the first fight. I'm sure you were watching as Tracer just absolutely went nuts. But Philadelphia now has their own Tracer come to life as Carpe gets a couple of kills. They will capture that final third of the map. Philadelphia almost gave up Volskaya for what seemed like free.
Seemed like 3 minutes now in the time bank for the Fusion, going on to second point. Only 1 ultimate available for the Outlaws. Maybe 2 as Bob is coming online rather soon. If Fusion take this rather fast, lay out the supercharger early, this could be disaster. Jake's in the back, gets 1 clip by Carpe, and Dante also ends up going down. Surely all over now is they've got Flux and Transcendence, even Pokespawn coming online as well for Carpe. Outlaws need a miracle at this point to try and save it. Linkser was able to earn himself a Bob in that fight, but the Flux in the back line is going to help clean up the damage that Carpe already did. There's 2 people dead. Make that a third. Fury finds 3, and the Outlaws go back to spawn, and the Fusion are going to be able to cap second point. Oh, Dante's alive. Nope, there we go. Second point is theirs. 2 minutes and 29 seconds for their next attack, if they need it.
You see the icy lakes, and Volskaya is one of those snowball kind of maps. And you just saw Carpe. I think he was probably looking at the kill feed being like, what's Dante doing up there the whole time? I'm the Tracer here. He comes to life at the end of the first point, gets in. And right now, if you're Houston, I mean, you want to run the Zen, but that has just been where Carpe is doing so much. And it's not that he's always confirming these kills, but it's getting both the supports out of the fight because they have to go peel and they have to try to keep the Zen alive, and it's taking the Sigma out of the fight. There's just been so many resources put in to keeping the Houston Outlaws and Yada alive that Carpe is doing his job even without confirming these final melee kills.
Well, it's just the kind of poking and then the finishing off of people, right? Except that time around is actually opposite. Carpe was the one doing the poking, and then Fury spots 3 people in a room, uses Flux, and they're already chunked down enough for Fury just to get the insta-kills with the Flux damage when you hit the ground, right? I mean, that's the opposite of what we'd expect to happen. We saw Hisu and Fury before throwing in rocks and throwing in just the spheres and the dynamites to chunk people out so Carpe could finish him off. Fusion, although on first point didn't look like a well-oiled machine, on second point that really did start trucking along. Now the Outlaws have their chance to attack, but monstrous time bank, if I must say, for Sky. Very hard to attack, especially second point. So any time in the time bank is well worth it. Well, both dynamites. That was a very cool camera shot, actually.
Well done. Yeah, Volskaya, if you get stopped, and this is true for a lot of Assault maps, and I always end up bringing it up, but if you get stopped on your first push, you really are in a tough spot. Your first push is always that snowball potential, because you just want to fight. You're, in theory, going to have better ultimates to be able to push in. And is Carpe invisible today?
I think so. I think so. I think he's kind of morphed into Sombra. Oh, not quite that invisible. There's a dynamite to the head. Link's able to sniff him out around the corner. Now it's the battle of the Zenyatas. A Rebel versus Alarm. I love seeing Zen's play. Like, it's so fun to watch Zen's right-clicking people through the shields and then just insta-killing them as the shield dies. Speaking of people dying, that's Fury already dead. Jexay was able to help. Well, sorry, Repel, even with the Discord, was able to take out Fury with just the primary fire.
Yeah, Philadelphia going to fall back now, and they're in a really dangerous spot here, right over the edge. And Sato does not get the memo that he has to go in there, but he's getting pumped full of healing because the healers are still alive on the edge of the map.
Yeah, Carpe trying to get something done, but you see that instant recall. Poswon gets thrown on him past the window. Actually forced Sato to come out past it and past his own shield too. 2 ticks have been acquired already as Alarm and Hisu end up going down. This should just be an easy third. Outlaws coming alive in the third map of this series. Remember, neither Fusion or Outlaws in recent history have won this map, so one of them will walk away with a W today and not keep their losing streak on this map alive.
I mean, a W or a draw. So, you know,
yeah. Oh, imagine if it was a draw. Oh my word, that'd be depressing.
Well, the Outlaws are banking up some good ultimates, though. Bob is going to come down. They're going to open with Window, and they're going to also have a Flux and a Transcendence, too. So in a very good spot. We saw the Flux really win the map for Houston, or for Philadelphia, on their offense. Philadelphia's giving up a lot of ground here.
They are, but look at Hydration. I think got booted forward with the rock there, and just landed in Hisu's sights. There's the Flux, and a Transcendence actually committed by Outlaws. 2 big ultimates now not available, as they didn't find anything with that incoming Flux.
No.
And they're just going to get cleaned up by Carpe now.
And now it is completely swung in the opposite direction, too, as Alarm, I think, would love to save this Transcendence. He's going to be capable of doing just that. And now, Houston, as I mentioned, you get stopped on your first push. It's back to the drawing board. They do have a large time bank in 4.5 minutes, but they're going to have to push into a Bob, a Supercharger, and both support ultimates. It seems like Philadelphia is able to win fights a lot easier without hitting Q than Houston is throughout. Their economy seems to, throughout the day, have just been always in a little bit better shape.
Oh my word. Halt Rock. What a combo. That Dynamite spiraled into Sato's lap there. Unfortunate for him, but he'll be alright. This Harmony Orb is going to be able to save him. A double tap. You look at that. The like for like and the like for like. Hisu taking out Linksa, Repel taking out... Oh, sorry, Alarm taking out Repel. And then Alarm even doing more damage. Nice little one-shot onto Dante there with the help of that Discord Orb. And the cleanup is all they needed. I will say, though, Hex, Outlaws do have one saving grace here, and that is going to be that 1 tick they acquired, that 33%. So Fusion have to pay a little bit more care when it comes to the point. However, they have 6 ults. So,
yeah, I was going to say, I mean, you can piecemeal it, but a King's Ransom full of ultimate abilities for the Philadelphia Fusion, and they can use just whatever they want. If you know, whatever happens if someone feels pressured, you have Transcendence. And Alarm is doing so much damage as the defensive Zenyatta that he's going to be able to get it rather quickly. If you really need it, Fury can use his Flux, and he's been hitting those all day too. So Philadelphia, I mean, they win fights without ultimates though too. This one might end up just being kind of a junk rush for the Houston Outlaws. You go in, you try to get everybody else up to ults, but they're gonna start opening.
Here we started going down. He's going to come out rather quickly. Look at all those ults being used almost instantly. Carpe takes out Repel with the help of the Supercharger. A big stick on the back line as well. Meko couldn't quite eat it. And this is the Carpe we know and love. The solo carry in the back. With Meko falling and Alarm even taking out Dante with a swift kick to the forehead. Now Fusion holding on to the point yet again.
But this is a pretty good fight for the Houston Outlaws because all of the ultimates that Philadelphia had just got used. Every single one of them except for Supercharger for Sato, which can be a good defensive ultimate. There's a couple of nice spots to just plunk it around a corner so you get the full value out of it. But that's kind of what Houston wanted to do. They ended up using ultimates of their own, but they've gotten Repel, Meko, Jexay, Linksa all leading their counterparts on the other side when their ultimate charges come up. If I'm Houston, maybe you try to play this slow, and then when those ultimates start coming aligned, use them one by one and get that advantage for it. I think the Flux is usually the win condition here. I think you want Meko to get there.
Again, Carpe's in the back. You see how low Meko went there. Forced Immortality field out from Jexer. Pull up into the high ground again. Carpe. He's just playing on the background. He's still receiving extra supercharger damage as well from that range, which is kind of insane, to be honest. He's still doing a fair bit of work. Meko is having the worst time imaginable. He's trying to kill a Tracer. You thought it'd be in the Sigma side, but not if it's Carpe. headshots are just ridiculous. He's backing him up into that pulse bomb as well. Luckily, Meko doesn't end up going down and can't be eventually forced away. Dante trying to find the kill, but Link's trying to finishing him off. And now the Flux comes up big. But look at that! An instant cancel, but it don't matter anyway. That Transcendence was there to save him. 1 minute remains for the Outlaws to push this second point. They got 2 ticks. Can they claim a third? Alarm gets instantly taken care of by Linkser as he comes back onto the point. And even a Bob on the field as well. Almost impossible for Fusion now to get back on without taking 1 billion damage. Dante's going to be able to finish a couple of people off. Make that a third, in fact. Earns himself a pulse bomb, but doesn't need it. 1 minute in the time bank now for the Outlaws. A hard-fought fight on the on the second point even. But two and a bit minutes for Fusion.
Well, I mean, I was praising the Philadelphia economy right before the fight happened, so it's like a macro caster curse, because then Houston pushed in. They didn't have much. I think maybe they dropped an amplification matrix, but it was enough to send Philadelphia searching for that ultimate button, and they used everything that they had, and they were in such a huge ultimate lead that I thought Houston was going to have to commit like another fight just to catch even with them, but they commit the fight, and Philadelphia used just everything that they had. Then Houston comes in, pushes it kind of slow, everybody gets to their ults, and if Repel doesn't get to his Transcendence there, we might be talking about a completely different fight. We might be talking about series over, but the Transcendence saves what ends up being an enormous halt into grab, I believe, or into Flux, which I believe caught 3. But the Transcendence comes down, and Houston eventually was just able to have the ultimate advantage lead. And sometimes in Overwatch, that's all it really ends up being, is they used ultimates when they didn't have to. We're going to have a better advantage, and Houston was able to capitalize on it. Now, can they capture any part of this point with 1 minute? And Philadelphia's been playing somewhat passive on these defense, giving up 30% here, another 30% there. So you don't really want to give up anything if you're Philadelphia, unless you really believe that in 2 minutes you're able to catch the point.
The Duel of the Dynamites yet again. Now they know it's going. Oh! Oh! Hydration. You knew it was coming. It's only a little bit of extra ult charge. It was only one person. Nice bit of shield pressure there from Linkser. Like you said, playing too defensive, especially when you have this much time. Oh, look at this! We were speaking about Secret Agent Carpe a little bit earlier on. Linkser knows exactly what's the game now.
Sado's alone.
Sado, what are you doing out there? Yep, he's gone golden though, but Repel takes out Hisu in the midst of it all. Good pick from the Zens. Killing machine is Repel and Alarm. Carpe's in the back now. A beautiful halt. Hydration just gets clipped. That was a halt into a Discord, into Carpe, just unloading a full clip into his noggin. And, well, guess how much time they have, Hex? They don't have a lot. They need a pick now, or it should just be all over. I mean, ideally you keep Sado alive and you actually focus him. Dante's doing just that, but the healing output and Fury just making sure he's well shielded is way too much for them to deal with. Now he goes down eventually to a melee. And a stick from Dante as well! Oh, the immortality field just to manage to save him. But that could just be the pick that they need. Someone has to kill Dante. Otherwise, this could go in Outlaws' favor, regardless of them losing Linkser. I say that as Hisu on the back takes care of him, doesn't even scope in, doesn't need it, and Carpe is back in on to the first point, all the way from spawn. There's the Flux. Hex, it's done, mate. It's all over. There's no way you can fight that. As soon as Dante went down, it was done. You just saw Linkser kind of get zoned out for the majority of that. Dante was doing the most damage. And Hisu comes back, manages just, like I said before, not even scope him in, just kill him off to the side. Those spawns and the way you enter point number 1 can be so deadly if you're on the flank, because they will just roll right through you, and sometimes in the back of your head while you're tracking those spawn timers, right? Especially if you're on the offense. You sometimes, in very certain situations, like, your memory just lapses and you forget about the person that just died who's then coming back to kill you. It's just... It was a horrible situation for Dante to be in, who looked like he could swing that fight into their favor.
I mean, Sado was also on the brink of death. I've just been so impressed with Sado this season that every time we talk about Philadelphia, I try to get his name in there. Like, if we had a Comeback Player of the Year award, it would definitely, he'd have to be the front runner in my mind. But the halt combinations that he is hitting and setting up some of these kills are amazing. Just to pull the opposing Orisa outside of her shield, and yes, Carpe was behind and it didn't matter, but the coordination that they get down there, and then without a shield, they can't have the presence on the point. That allows Funny Astro to set up his window into Pack Room, and no one can really play the point, especially now because there's no shield and you're going into Amp Matrix, and you have to expect Funny Astro's going to hit those shots. So this is it. 40% is all Philadelphia need to clean sweep the Houston Outlaws.
But there is a win condition, right, for the Outlaws. They just need to be able to defend.
Full holds.
A draw is no longer a possibility. Well, they don't even need a full hold, because you can technically get 33% of your fusion, but it's a very small window there of 7%. Nice little bit of dynamite damage. You don't want to get caught out with that. Hydration almost gets insta-killed with the headshot on the Discord. Yeah, he heard the dynamite. Astro didn't. Oh, Astro taking a whole heap of damage. Already forced to use the Immortality field there.
This is the battle I want to watch. Carpe versus Dante. I think first Tracer to fall, the team loses the fight.
Oh, the dynamite! He's got recall though. Yeah, he's good for the time being. Jexa knows he's there. Ends up backing off. Repel's going to be on top of him as well. Dante, you're not going to get that duel, unfortunately, because Fury ends up taking him out. Lynx is going to go down as well, or at least fall down to sub 10 HP. And now it's just the slow whittling away at the health bars. Lynx are almost low. Carpe almost gets deleted, but no. Alarm and Hisu are going to be there. That's going to be it. The Fusion taking this series 3-2-0. Outlaws couldn't quite find their map. And at least Philadelphia Fusion can scrub that 0% win rate away on Volskaya Industries. GG's all around. And Hex, this is going to be another couple of interesting weeks for Fusion. They want to come into this summer tournament with a bang, right? They want to make sure they can do their friends proud and take first place, because they didn't have the best of showings, I must say, although who could have predicted? Well, me, I'm just saying. Mayhem doing extraordinarily well. But this is the Fusion that we wanted to see. Just Carpe dominating on things like Tracer, Kree, and Ashe, just any hit scan, and then Hisu coming in as well on the Ashe. It just shows the depth of their roster and just them being able to utilize every single one of them as well.
Yeah, because I think a lot of teams do have problems of, like, if we want to run Tracer and Ashe, well, our best player is our best Tracer and our best Ashe, but Philadelphia has really rounded out their damage lineup in such a way that they can run a lot of different compositions. I think Ivy gets overlooked as one of the best Mays in the entire league because people just don't want to give May credit at all, but Ivy's really good at it. But, I mean, for Houston, sometimes it's just as simple. If Dante's alive, we can win. If Dante's dead, we can't. And then Volskaya, I think, was a great example of that on their offense on very first point. Like, it was Dante on the carry, and when Dante goes down, there's no one to keep Carpe in check. And he just goes to the back line. He's beating up tanks. Carpe is such a... I mean, it's like somewhat like the fish he's named after. He's an opportunist. You know, whatever is there, he will take. Of course, he's not named after the fish, but that's the joke. And he'll take a tank if it's there. If the Tracer's out of the fight, no one can control Carpe, and he's just running wild. And they really only had a chance when Dante was trying to check Carpe, but I think the communication was there so much that Dante would be going on to a different angle, and then he would just call it, and Hisu would hit that shot. And Hisu was hitting every shot, and it goes so far where you hit the dynamite, but then it's like 3 headshots in a row, and it takes so many resources out of the other team, just that constant pressure of Hisu's Ashe.
Surprise, surprise, he's going to be the player of the match. And let's be real with ourselves here, Hex. It's hard to choose player of the match, especially when you watch Fusion. It feels like Alarm does a whole bunch. Alarm was my second candidate for player of the match, just because when he's on Zen, and the hero that did really make him famous was the Zenyatta, it's just a whole different world we see almost, I feel. Like when you're on a non-fragging support like Ana, who, yes, they can still fire off a couple of shots every now and then. You can duel people, yes, but it's nothing like Zen, who passively heals with his orb and then is able to just kind of dink people through shields. But Hisu just earned it. I think just off that Hollywood performance alone, coming in after control, swapping out for Ivy. On third point, he was just on top of the truck, just bang, 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 bang. Well, okay, you're all dead. Well, GG, go next.
Yeah, I mean, you could also just always pick Carpe, so we get kind of tired of that. Of course, you know, we'll probably speak to Carpe momentarily here, but I think Hisu definitely earned this one. You mentioned Hollywood there too, but I think also on Volskaya, he had a couple moments where if he doesn't hit that shot, that one shot right there, they probably end up losing the fight, lose the map in those situations. And I think that's what makes him so deadly with Carpe. I bring this up when I watch Carpe all the time is, yeah, he's got the mechanics, and he's got the he's all of the things you want a damage player, but he's also clutch. When you really, really need something done, if I had to win a 1v1 to save my life, I would take Carpe. If I had a 1v4, I've seen Carpe do. Like, he always comes up big in the big moments, never seems to phase him. We've seen it time and time again from this Philadelphia team that when they need a play and someone has to do it, it's Carpe. But now Hisu, just after today's performance, starts falling into that category. If he doesn't dominate on that Hollywood defense last for about 4 shots in a row, they lose. If he doesn't hit a couple shots on Dante there, they probably lose Volskaya, or at least the fight, or at least it goes longer. So I think he fits so well in with Carpe in that, like, when the back is against the wall and Philadelphia needs a play, one shot. You have one shot, otherwise we lose this fight. They both hit it, and Hisu with I don't want to say breakout performance today, but one of his best performances of this season for sure.
For sure. Like, I can't think of a better hero, it feels like, to put him on as well. The Ash is just absurd. And I love the little team comp, I want to say it again, heck. I love the style of, like, poking people with the Dynamite and with Ash and Sigma, etc. Any poke hero you can kind of think of. And then have Carpe finish them off. It just suits their strengths as well, because like you said, Carpe is not only a clutch player, he's just ultra consistent. And being able to just be in the backline and be a solo entity, mind you, as well, because Tracer is almost designed like that with the recall and then you get in your health pack and the blinks, of course. She's one of the most mechanically intensive heroes in the game, bar none. I would say Echo may be up there at this point because of her ultimate, but Tracer can carry a game on her own, and being able to being able to be played by someone like Carpe is just like actually absurd. There's very few things that can check him, and one of those was Dante in that match, and it did feel like Dante wasn't getting the better of Carpe, but he was definitely matching it in certain situations. But then it was the Hisu was coming up, dynamiting Dante, or even just other people on the sidelines, just chunking out the Tracer to make sure she's forced to recall, and then Carpe's like, well, I have recall advantage.
Well, even in some of those duels, too, like, if you think of, like, the very small pack at the back of Volskaya first, it was Carpe had pack control, he had recall control, like, those are all the things you want in a Tracer 1v1. I'm on the pack, you don't get that, you recalled first, now you're dead, and now Dante has to get out. What really, I think, stood out to me today a lot, and I don't know, like, the ins and outs of the comms, but there's sometimes where you watch a game of Overwatch and you can watch a team and you can be like, oh, their comms look clean today. It looks like they're communicating everything well, and obviously those come from Halt into Flux and Halt into Accretion and Halt into Tracer and Halt into everything. Halt's a really good ability, by the way. Having Grab on a cooldown is pretty nice, but I think the one that stands out to me is when Carpe and Dante were dueling on one of the very last fights, and Carpe is on Oceanside, and then Dante is trying to go back in through Stairside. I feel like that was a call made that Tracer's coming in stairs, and then Hisu just clips him. He gets that one shot, and then Dante dies, Houston dies right after that. So there's some times where you can watch a game and just feel like, oh, I think their comms are really clean today, because that's a call that you can make that happens, and you get that one kill, and it's just about having clean comms and communication. But this is what you want to see from Philadelphia. I don't want to see Philadelphia go to 5 maps against teams that they should beat. This is a team that needs to be the dominant force if they want to start getting in the conversation of, like, the San Francisco Shock. And I've always respected the Shock because they close teams out. They got stuff to do. Florida is now in the conversation as one of the best NA teams. So Philadelphia needs to have performances like this against teams that they should beat.
Yeah, and I think that's where the challenge is really going to lie for them later down the line. Like, Outlaws definitely a weaker team when it comes to it, comes down to it, unfortunately, and sad to say. I think they did have bright sparks today. However, I am interested to see if they continue playing this tank lineup. I want to see more hydration on tank, to be honest. I think it's not reached a level yet where it's... I don't think it's reached its peak, basically, is what I'm trying to say.
No.
On the tank role. So I'm excited to see the evolution of how that's going to turn out later down the season. But going into the summer tournament, like, are we going to continue to see this? Are they going to stick with this single lineup, or are we going to continue to see Linksa being traded out? Because I think Linksa, especially in this week's hero rotation, it's perfect for him, and that's what we were surprised at seeing on Lijiang, was him being subbed out for Blase.
Well, they kind of telegraphed what they wanted to run there, too, because I think, like, you know, Blase wants to run the Doomfist, and that's pretty obvious, so they're kind of telegraphing what they want to get done. But I think you probably roll with Hydration at this point, because it's not been a downgrade, and maybe the ceiling might be higher for him. And you're right, I think he's learning some of these heroes, and he's practicing them a lot, trying to get better. I think the mechanics on Winston have to improve a little bit. I think one of our stats guys, Matt, said he didn't get a single knockback kill on Hollywood, and I remember a moment where he had Ashe in the corner in Primal Rage, and that should be a confirmed kill that he should be getting done. So some of the mechanics aren't as clean as people have maybe played Winston for years and years. Like Hydration, not a main tank player, but we've seen players have to transition. I think he's smart enough. I think his work ethic's there to be able to put in the time, but I think unless Orisa gets completely knocked out of the pool, you're going to see Hydration come in to play the Orisa, because I think right now he's the best Orisa they have on the roster.
Well, we do have Zoe with Carpe for a brief interview, so we're going to jump over to them and see what Carpe has to say.
Right, let's actually talk about the game. Houston Outlaws, they looked pretty okay right at the beginning, but it looked like the fusion of figuring them out fairly quickly. What adjustments did you and your team need to make to come out on top?
At first map they play Doom Reaper, so it was pre-counter for our comp, so we know it's very tough matchup. And next map we play McCree, and then next map we also play McCree again, so we know the other two maps gonna easy for us.
Alright, well, your next match coming up is going to be against the Boston Uprising. And Boston Uprising, they've been looking a lot better recently. They look like an improved team. Who of those Boston Uprising players do you consider the biggest threat? Who's the best player they have?
I think their backline, Myeonbong, is their best player. I think he have a really good mechanic. And also I saw him a lot of insane like slip dart on Ana or Gen play, so I think Myeonbong is their best player.
Do you think it's going to be a close game against Boston or an easy game?
To be honest, it's not gonna hard.
Not gonna be hard, alright.
Not gonna be hard, yeah.
Well, we have the Summer Showdown coming up. That's our next tournament. Where do you see your own team placing? You think you're gonna do well in that tournament?
I mean, we have to figure out what is the meta again, but we are pretty comfortable about going this tournament also.
Alright, and if we're looking at the meta as is right now, I mean, we only saw 2 days, but which of the other teams do you think are gonna do well in the Summer Showdown?
I think Mayhem, they're gonna be good. And Shock, definitely Shock gonna be there also, and we are looking for their two teams.
Alright, well, we can't wait to see the rest of your games the next couple of weeks, and we hope to see you guys in the Summer Showdown. Carpe, thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you.
Right, we're now heading into a very quick break, and afterwards we are back with the Vancouver Titans, who will go up against the Toronto Defiant. Don't go anywhere.